today we got news that the big fish in the head coaching hiring circle has landed in Denver as Sean Payton signs a deal to be the Broncos' next head coach. And obviously the Broncos trade, I believe, a first and a second to the Saints for him.
First round this year, second round next year, and they get Sean Payton in a third round next year in return.
Let me just say this.
Interesting.
Last season, the Broncos banked damn near half of their future on Russell Wilson just to finish as a bottom tier team. And they just threw away the rest of that future to pay Sean Payton, who has done nothing but fail in the playoffs for over the last decade, to give him a $20 million a year over 5 years.
Yeah.
Of course, I was very high on Sean Payton coming to the Cardinals, when the whole speculation started. And that's all. I was all for it up until this point. I couldn't be more happier. I would have absolutely been baffled if the Cardinals gave up that much, considering where we're heading now. So, good move, New Orleans. Good move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a great move for New Orleans. I mean, he wasn't going to come back and coach for New Orleans, so they basically get something for nothing in terms of the draft capital. But I don't love this move for the Broncos, man. I think they're trying a little too hard to make a big splash. And like you said, Dilly, they just traded away pretty much the little bit of future they had left after this Russell Wilson debacle for Sean Payton. And Sean Payton is a great coach. Don't get me wrong. But in today's current landscape, I don't know if I can plug him into the definitely not the top 5. And it's debatable the top 10 current head coaches in the NFL, because there's a lot of great coaches who are doing great things. And I don't know. It's a tough one, because obviously it's Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning coach, made Drew Brees into the Hall of Famer that he is, but it just seems like a little bit of a reach and an overpay from these Broncos.
I don't know. I think it's not going to win them a Super Bowl. Matter of fact, I'll go as far as to say that they probably won't ever win a Super Bowl in this Russell Wilson era, but it kind of established themselves like what does this team actually want to look like in the years behind Russell Wilson? Because you'd assume that Sean Payton's probably going to be there for the next 4 or 5 years as he's under contract for them.
Hopefully,
so they can start looking on past Russell Wilson, because they'll probably end up with mid-round picks, which they can either package and move back with, or package and for other players.
Personally, I like the trade. I mean, he was going to go somewhere for a first round pick. He was going to go somewhere. He was going to go to the Cardinals. He was going to go to whoever wanted to pay the price for Sean Payton. Obviously, the Saints made out, got a first round pick out of it. You can say they're the winners just because they didn't give up anything. They give us somebody that he's retired, doesn't coach for them anymore. That's fine. Great and dandy. The Broncos were in a situation where they already did exactly what you guys said. They traded away their future for Russell Wilson so they could win now. And the team is still there that everybody was raving over. It's not like those pieces are all gone. Everybody was raving about how Russell Wilson is going to come into a system that has Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, Javonte Williams, who got hurt, a decent O-line, not much cap space, if at all. But they do have some to fix some of the issues, but they have an elite defense on top of that already. They don't have to worry about the defense, don't have to touch upon that. That thing is amazing, good, dandy. Sean Payton's coming in to run an offense, which is he's been amazing at his whole career, coming in to run an offense that is supplied with Russell Wilson. And the first round pick wasn't even technically theirs. They traded away Bradley Chubb to get the Saints pick that came from Miami, that came from there were so many different places that pick came from. It is multiple roads down. So when I'm looking at it, I love it just because you already didn't really have a future. if I'm gonna be honest, I mean, you didn't have a future. You had coaches that you could potentially get. You had maybe some money. You had a late first round pick, which has always value, but it's not like they were trading away their own pick, which is a top 5 pick. So I love it. And you also have to think like, yeah, Sean Payton's only won one Super Bowl, but that is more than the majority of any coaches have ever done in the history of the NFL. There's only been about to be 57 Super Bowls. So he's one of 56 coaches, quote unquote, because there have been multiple coaches that have won a Super Bowl to do it. So yes, the playoff success isn't there per se, but he still has done more than a majority of the coaches have done in the NFL as it is. So why not pair him with another Super Bowl winner and Russell Wilson, a top 5 defense, and see what they can do with it? You weren't going to do anything with anybody else anyways. Your team already looked bad already. Fuck it. Go for the fences. And they honestly still have a future because the pick this year is gone, but they still have their pick for next year. Like, if they do bad again, shit, that fucking sucks. Still probably will have a top 5 pick then, top 10 pick, and you actually own it this time. So I like the move. You had to swing for the fences. Why not?
I mean, this is a Broncos team that if they could have scored 18 points a week, they probably would have been fighting for a wild card spot, just sitting around the 500, maybe 2 to 3 games forward to back of it, whichever way you want to look at it. But there's a lot of wrongs that this season needs to be corrected, and it's a very short list of wrongs because it was the same wrongs every single week for the Broncos.
And you notice how when Nathaniel Hackett got fired, Russell Wilson started to cook, and however you want to fucking say it, Russell, let him cook. He fucking cooked. He played well. Like the last few games he had, no fucking head coach. He said, fucking, I'm a ball all of a sudden. And he had a good end to the season, something to end on a high note. You put in Sean Payton, who has worked with short quarterbacks and has worked with teams that have very little talent, if you want to look at it that way, because there have been teams where he did not have much to work with and still did a lot with that team. I mean, you look back to when he was his last season with Jameis Winston, they were a playoff team. So I don't know. I like the move. You have to think about it in terms of he is one of the only people to win a Super Bowl. And the Broncos have nothing to lose. They really don't. Like, they were fighting for the fact that they already, like, quote unquote, lost their future. So why not swing for the fences and go all out and see what you can do with a Super Bowl winning, probably Hall of Fame coach?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible move. Sean Payton is obviously a great head coach, has, carved out, I'd say, almost a Hall of Fame resume as a head coach. But there was so much wrong with the Broncos this year offensively. And I don't think it was all on Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett had a great resume going into this year with the Broncos. And obviously, I'm not saying that he was fit to be their head coach, but I'm also not saying that all of the issues with that offense walked out the door when he did. And I think that it's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of growing pains next year.
I don't know.
With the
I feel
Sean
like there
Payton
are
system.
people that are just not meant to be a head coach and cause problems wherever they fucking go. I mean, I'm going to talk about Josh McDaniels. I mean, he is not fit to be a head coach. He's been on some top offenses in the NFL. He's obviously worked with Tom Brady, but his 2 head coaching experiences, he fucking sucks. I mean, I'm going to put it plain and simple. He's a bad head coach. And then you look at the fact of Nathaniel Hackett had multiple winning seasons with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he gets to a new team and he fucks it all up.
Well, he was also running the offense.
Huh?
Nat Hackett was also running the offense for the Jacksonville Jaguars team that went to the AFC Championship with Blake Bortles at quarterback. So it's like, I look at stuff like that and I'm like, damn.
You're not going to tell me that offense was elite. That defense is what fucking
but but it was also an offense that got to an AFC championship with Blake Bortles leading the way.
But there's also a difference between just calling the plays and having to worry about everything else. What happens in a coach's brain is so foggy when you have more on your plate. When you are just the play caller and all you're doing is worrying about what I have to call, figure out what I have to call against this personnel on this down during, like I can think about this. But if you're a head coach and you have to think about everybody else, you have to think about time management. Okay, if I do this, what are they going to do on top of this? I have to think about what personnel I'm bringing out on top of that. I have to think about all my other coaches and what they're calling, because I have to make sure their synergy's okay. I have way more to focus on than just, okay, I need to go out, call these plays, and have these players run it. Make sure they have the information they need, because that's all I'm doing. Head coach has way more to do with that. And so when Nathaniel Hackett, I mean, you saw it. I mean, he got hired right away because people still believe in him to call plays, but it's such a difference of running a team. And then on top of that, like Saya said, bring in someone that's an offensive guru, because if you would have literally put up 18 points every game, and I think they would easily put up more than that, especially when Javonte Williams comes back, you're putting up maybe 20, 21 points per game at least. I mean, fuck, that's not even that much to put up, but shit. You're looking at a team that is, yes, a wild card and maybe even not going to win the division. I mean, fuck, we just learned that Patrick Mahomes runs that bitch. I mean, simple as that. But they could have a good shot of being a 5-6 seed and doing something in the playoffs. So, like, it's one of those things where you bet all your chips anyways. So fuck it. Let's bring in somebody else's chips and just put them in too and see what we can do with that. I mean, shit, we're going all in anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we'll have to see. I wouldn't be surprised if there's growing pains, but also with it being Sean Payton, I wouldn't really be surprised if he totally turns it around. But my gut feeling is saying that there's still going to be more issues to work out even when he's there. So